It starts by identifying the most urgent threats we face today. As I see it, there are three categories. The first is military threats from other countries. We see this in China's efforts to threaten freedom of navigation, to militarize the South China Sea, to target countries throughout the Indo-Pacific with increasingly sophisticated military capabilities. Beijing's military ambitions are growing by the year. Coupled with the realities of modern technology, the challenges that once seemed half a world away are no longer remote. We've seen how Beijing and Moscow are increasingly using access to critical resources, markets, and technologies to pressure our allies and drive wedges between us. Of course, each state's decision is its own. But we must not separate economic coercion from other forms of pressure. When one of us is coerced, we should respond as allies and work together to reduce our vulnerability by ensuring our economies are more integrated with each other than they are with our principal competitors. That means teaming up to develop cutting-edge innovations, ensuring that our sensitive supply chains are resilient, setting the norms and standards that will govern emerging technologies, imposing costs on those who break the rules. History tells us that when we do, more countries will opt for the open and secure spaces that we build. It also makes us stronger when we stand up for our values. Consider the sanctions that the United States just imposed in unity with Canada, the European Union, and the United Kingdom on individuals engaged in the atrocities being committed against Uyghurs in Xinjiang. The retaliatory sanctions that China then imposed on members of the European Parliament and the EU's Political and Security Committee, academics and think tanks, make it all the more important that we stand firm and stand together, or else risk sending the message that bullying works. This includes sticking by our non-NATO partners in Europe, many of whom continue to stand firm with us on the alliance's front lines. And we'll look beyond national governments to the private sector, civil society, philanthropies, cities, and universities. Diverse, broad-based cooperation is essential to protecting the global commons, those resources that all people have a right to share and benefit from, and which are now being encroached upon by our adversaries. Consider 5G, where China's technology brings serious surveillance risks. We should bring together tech companies from countries like Sweden, Finland, South Korea, the United States, and use public and private investment to foster a secure and trustworthy alternative. We've spent decades developing relationships with countries that share our values in every part of the globe. This is why we invested so much in these partnerships, so we can come together in innovative ways to solve new challenges. The United States won't force our allies into a us or them choice with China. There's no question that Beijing's coercive behavior threatens our collective security and prosperity, and that it is actively working to undercut the rules of the international system and the values we and our allies share. But that doesn't mean that countries can't work with China where possible, for example, on challenges like climate change and health security. We know that our allies have complex relationships with China that won't always align perfectly. But we need to navigate these challenges together. That means working with our allies to close the gaps in areas like technology and infrastructure, where Beijing is exploiting to exert coercive pressure. We'll rely on innovation, not ultimatums. Because if we work together to make real our positive vision for the international order, if we stand up for the free and open system that we know provides the best conditions for human ingenuity, dignity, and connection, we're confident we can outcompete China or anyone else on any playing field.